What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another episode with Headbanger Sports. In today's episode, I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about my most recent obsession, and that is the 3 shapes of your lower half mechanics. For those of you who don't know, I'm a retired professional pitcher. I've been in player development for over 14 years, and I'm most recently a college pitching coach at Azusa Pacific University. Now, I know the 3 shapes of pitching kind of sounds a little obscure and a little cookie cutter, so let me dive right into it and explain why it's so effective, why it's so important, and how it's going to help you enhance your velocity, your performance, as well as your confidence. So when you've been in player development as long as I have, you start to uncover certain windows that every elite mover travels through as they flow through their mechanics, and that's what these 3 shapes are going to show you. The best of the best travel through each of these shapes fluidly, and they make it look extremely polished, and that's what we're going to be trying to get you guys to accomplish by the end of this video. First is the trapezoid. What's a trapezoid again? If you don't know the answer to that question, you probably should have paid attention in math class. I was going to erase this for this video, but this is my daughter's name and I'm teaching her how to read, so just deal with it. A trapezoid is 2 parallel lines and 2 non-parallel lines. If you can visualize from a side view perspective, someone beginning to throw a ball. As they're beginning to move towards their target, their shin and their thigh are going to stay in place on this line right here, and their body is going to continue to travel away from this shape, thus creating this trapezoid shape between both of their thighs and both of their knees and both of their hip sockets. What it does for an athlete is it helps them stay stable in their back leg while they're beginning their stride phase so that they can store energy and rotate later to produce optimal power when they're releasing the ball. Now, where I see athletes backing this up is when their back knee collapses and it creates this shape. For those of you who don't know, that's called a parallelogram. These guys have a tendency to fly open and leak their pelvic rotation prematurely, which then causes their arm to have a ton of stress, and it makes for a very ineffective throw. Second is the Nike Swoosh. The Nike Swoosh involves athletes coming out of that rotational phase and beginning to unwind their pelvis against their front side and produce a ton of stretch up their core here that's going to make the upper body begin to drive fast and rotate fast, which causes the arm to lay back. So the Nike Swoosh shape would be someone's arm in layback and then their body being connected from their spine to their back leg all the way down to their back foot. Now I know that's like an inverted Nike Swoosh and it's flipped upside down, but it's besides the point. Use your imagination. Where guys have a tendency to mess this one up is their back leg is collapsing off the ground, which typically results in this shape, something like a U. Failure to keep your back foot on the ground is also known as trail leg hip flexion, also a huge injury risk. Want to make sure we're not doing that one. What I tell guys to do to keep this bad habit from happening is to imagine like they have a piece of gum stuck to the bottom of their back foot. Now, as they're beginning to rotate and get into that Nike Swoosh position, you want to pretend like that piece of bubble gum is still sticking to the ground and it's staying in the ground until after they are going into their release point, which is actually the next shape. And finally, we have the T shape. As we're coming out of this Nike Swoosh position and we move into the T shape where we're letting go of the ball, there should be a straight line that goes from your back foot and it continues all the way up your back foot into your release point. You also want to make sure you have a stable front leg, so you're keeping a strong front leg block and you are driving your knee in this direction. People who mess this shape up will typically experience something like an S where their back foot is up here and their arm path is getting cut off and they're not getting full extension. Before you go assuming that I'm just trying to make everyone move the exact same and I'm trying to come up with cookie cutter mechanics, let me just say that the feel isn't necessarily going to be the real for everyone else, but if we can maintain this thought process as we're moving through our delivery, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be delaying pelvic rotation, we're going to be establishing a strong front side, we're going to be using the lower half to drive the arm path, and we're going to be creating good extension against a stable front leg and an active posterior. Now, obviously, that's the goal for all of us, and if you need any more information on this, I actually just created a free course. You can go ahead and visit my Instagram, shoot me a DM, ask for the shape challenge, and I'll shoot you it over. My Instagram account is BobbyO'Neal37, but before you go, please like, follow, and subscribe this channel. Hit the bell so that you know when the next video is dropping. Coach Rack and myself are making a ton of content for these guys. These guys are amazing. You can always use my discount code, Bobby37, for any purchase you make on the Headbanger website. Take care, guys. God bless.